Hello and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. It has been a while, gentlemen. So how you guys been doing?
Good, man. What are we talking about today?
Well, today we decided that we're going to talk about Thor Love and Thunder. It just came out this past weekend, and one of us was the last to see it last night. So I'm not going to mention any names, but and so we will talk about it, give our thoughts, opinions. You guys kind of spoiled it for me. All right, so it was me that went to last night. You guys kind of spoiled it a little bit for a little bit, but you guys were head on. I'm going to get your guys' thoughts. I thought it was, and my son saw it too, and also Kobe. And I thought it was good, not great. We'll discuss why, some of the things, but I want to get your guys' opinion. I don't remember who we started up with last, so Troy, give me your food analogy. Start with you now.
This was, I would say that this is, it was an expectation. I had an expectation of one thing. So I don't know if I've used this particular analogy, but it would be if you saw a tall glass of dark liquid. And you're like, okay, that looks good. It's cold. The glass is sweating. It's cold. It looks refreshing. I think I will have some. And you go over to it and you're thinking it's a Coca-Cola and you start drinking it. And it turns out that I don't drink beer. It turns out that it's a dark lager and it's beer. And you're thinking to yourself, what the? I just drink beer. I don't drink beer. So I would not have enjoyed that drink. But if I was thirsty enough, it would have quenched my thirst. That's this movie. I went in there thinking I'm getting myself a nice tall glass of Coca-Cola. From the previews, the glass was all glistening and it was all wet and cold. And then I got in there and somebody switched the drink on me and slipped me a Mickey. You know, they slipped me a Mickey Mouse Mickey because this was a kid's show. Man, this wasn't an adult show. I'm watching it. I'm like, did that child just tell Thor to get out of here? I'd have hit that kid in the head with the hammer. You don't tell Thor to get out of here. Are you kidding me? It didn't. And then one of the biggest things that I did not like about this movie was I was expecting another expectation going wrong. I was expecting Christian Bale to be a horror, a terror. I knew that Thor and his team had to kill this guy because he's the hero. But of course it was going to happen. But I was thinking, you know what? He's going to be such a great character. He's going to be a Killmonger type character. I'm going to dig this guy and I'm going to feel bad when he dies. I'm going to feel bad. But they did it wrong. And somebody who has more expensive suits than I do told Bale, hey man, go ahead and you do what you think you ought to do with this character. And he thought to himself, I don't know him, I didn't talk to him, but this is what I assume. He thought to himself, that last big superhero movie I was in, everybody loved the Joker. It was my movie, man. I did 3 of those joints, but everybody loved the Joker. So you know what? I'm going to bring Joker energy to this. And he did. And I was like, what? I didn't understand where it was going in the trailers. Chris Helmsworth says that Taika Waititi, you know, Tutu, the turntable, that guy is he said he's like a big kid at heart. He's like a big kid. And I was like, oh, okay. But he meant that. He was a child. He made this movie for specifically for like Disney Plus children. You know, I have Disney Plus, but you know, they got adult stuff on there too. And he made it a kid's movie. I did not dig that. The movie was okay, and I can see what they did. They built some stuff, but I you know what? I know where they were going. I just don't like the road that they took. So that's the thing. That's my thing.
Well, before we get to Carlos, I'm tempted to jump in and say all the things right now, because on the way to the movie theater last night, I was on the phone with Carlos discussing the movie. So I'm tempted to rob all of the stuff that he said to me ahead of time to leave him speechless. But I'm going to not do that. I'm going to be mature, and I'm going to pass it on to Carlos. Your thoughts?
So my thoughts. That was you. We did talk last night.
Yeah.
So this is the deal, right? So everyone knows me. I'm an Iron Man guy, right? I've always been an Iron Man guy.
Do you like Iron Man? You never
love
said so.
Iron Man movies. You can't do no wrong when it comes to Iron Man. When it comes to me, right? But because of my physical appearance, I relate to Thor a lot, right? Because obviously, Thor is a god. He's freaking Diesel. The whole spiel, right? So this is the problem that I had with this movie, and I'm going to go ahead and basically break it down. This is, Troy always gives us the food analogies, right? Obviously this movie he didn't even go to food. It drove him to drinking. All right. That's what it did to my man, that he had to compare it to drinking. But I'm going to compare it to dating, right? So, because obviously, as everybody knows, my date, I date sometimes, right? So, women, right? They always say that they're attracted to funny guys, right? Like guys who make them laugh, right? And it's good. I mean, obviously, everyone wants good-looking people, whatever. But you want to have a good personality. You want to be able to make people laugh, so you can enjoy yourself, because looks can only go so long. So it's such a long way, I guess. Whatever, but. The problem with comedy and being funny is that it's the timing of it. You got to know when to be funny. You can't be funny all 100% of the time, because it gets old too. So if you're on a date, and you're in bed with the chick and she's laughing, that's not a good thing. She doesn't want to be laughing when she's in bed. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta know how to balance it. And I think that the way these movies, both DC and Marvel, even with the shows, the way they've been going lately, maybe it's Gunn, I guess, or that whole idea. It's just with James Gunn and Taiki, whatever. It's like they want to make everything into comedy. And don't get me wrong, I love comedy. I like to think that I'm a pretty funny guy myself, and I love when they inject comedy into movies. But not every single character is meant to be funny. And in the movie, everyone had like one-liners, every single, Jane, who's freaking dying of cancer, she's over there, bopping the head with the Valkyrie, who's like one of the meanest, people in the world, so it's like everybody's trying to be funny, and it gets old and it gets stale. And that to me kind of killed the movie a little bit. To me, the movie was just okay. It was probably one of the worst Marvel movies in my mind. And, it kind of sucks to say, because of the people that, you had the Guardians of the Galaxy, you had Thor, you introduced the new character and Gore, the God Butcher, you introduced Zeus. Zeus was a fucking comedian. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like everything doesn't have to be funny. You can inject funny and have fun, but not make the whole thing, try to make everyone laugh the whole time. That's not what Marvel movies are about. It's about enjoying, the experience and, laughing here and there, but not, not to the point where it gets like, oh my God, this is getting old. So that was my initial thoughts on this.
My initial thoughts, and yeah, I think you hit it on the head there, because first of all, you love Iron Man, I'm Spider-Man, but for Marvel movies, to me, the top is Guardians of the Galaxy. I keep saying that. Okay. My guys were in there for like 5 minutes, didn't do anything. they're just watching Thor fight. And they're like sidelines, and they didn't even act like themselves. Their characters did not even act like themselves to me, for one. I know it's a Thor movie, but they didn't act, and that started it off for me. And what you said hit it on the head for me about jokes. That lesson, and I love comedy. I mean, I love funny, I love everything, but it lessened the tension. When even the kids who are in danger are making jokes, we're supposed to have this, evil person. The kids are making jokes. Their lives are in danger. That takes away all the tension. There's no tension anymore. There were no stakes in the movie for me. And I wouldn't say it's one of the worst Marvel movies. I can think that there are many other worse. but it just, you never felt that anything was going to happen bad to anyone throughout the whole movie. It it just really like, Thor's coming in there joking with the kids are joking, they're in the situation, right? Jane Foster's joking with Thor as they're going through the thing. It just never felt like the tensions were high. And even the beginning with Christian Bale's character, it was one of the things that, he's making fun of the gods. It's one of those things like none of this had to happen. The whole movie didn't have to happen because the god's making fun of him and holding him up, strangling him, and the sword is just lying there on the ground the whole time. Like, he points to the sword and saying, that's the only thing that can kill us. And thank God the person's gone. If that's the only thing that can kill you, wouldn't you want to get rid of that like right away? Just it's lying there on the ground for it. So that it's one of those things that seemed like little bit ludicrous. Like none of this had to happen. And again, I expected, like Troy said, Christian Bale's character to be really, really evil. And it was like, okay. I liked seeing Russell Crowe as Zeus, but again, also jokey. Every single person in there were just no stakes in the movie. And, I liked it. I didn't love it. So let's dig a little bit deeper now. Let's try to go into a little bit deeper. That what are some of the things that you like that, you were happy to see, not happy to see in there?
I was glad to see the end. I think
I was glad to see the movie finished.
I was glad for the movie to be over.
I like the two Easter eggs. The first one was cool because I get what they're doing. The whole Love and Thunder takes on a brand new meaning because love is one of the Marvel abstracts. There's order and chaos. There's love and hate. There's Galactus. There's the Living Tribunal. There's love. So she's one of them. So I'm assuming that this little girl is going to grow up because when they show her, she first approaches her father as eternity. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going on with that? And then by the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, she's love. I get it. So she's not going to stay with Thor. Thor's not going to have to drag her around. That was his real daughter in real life, which was kind of cool. But so I like that little piece of a puzzle that, you had to unwrap and figure out. They didn't explain it to the audience, but that's cool. Marvel doesn't always do that. Then I liked the second Easter egg, which I'll let somebody else nail since I talked about this one. The something that I was expecting some type of symbiote connection. He's oozing stuff. He's going through these tentacles and everything. The Necrosword / All Black is Null's sword. It's the sword of the symbiote god. And they kind of hint towards other people having gods when the rock guy, I forgot his name.
Korg.
Yeah. When Korg is like, you think my god will be there? And he is sitting on a chair of scissors, which was kind of funny. But his god was there, so I was like, okay. So if they're going to talk about gods from other worlds, I mean, Gore, the whole thing was a god from another world, wrecked his life. But if they're going to talk about gods from other world, they gotta talk about no. They did not. And they just made it the dark dimension, the shadow dimension, which is like a Doctor Strange thing, but they did it, and that was kind of cool. I mean, they twisted it a little bit. Marvel does that with a lot of their movies, and that's cool. And the fact that they gave an explanation, but I was really hoping that, in that last Spider-Man, when they leave that little drop of the symbiote behind, I'm like, well, clearly he's in our universe now. And now they're doing the Necrosword. It's got to be the symbiotes. It wasn't. I blew that completely. I just knew that was what was going to happen, and it wasn't. It wasn't even that. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's thunder outside. There wasn't even a thing about that. And that kind of.
It's Thor getting pissed that you're bad mouthing his movie.
I guess, yeah. Korg marries The Rock, which is kind of funny. That's funny. But there was so many things that I like. Well, there were a few things that I liked, but there were so many things that if I was, watching this movie in the 60s, I'd have probably thrown fruit at the screen a few times because I was very upset with a few of the things that happened. But I think just like how they watered down Thanos so he could fit into the universe, they watered down Gore so he could fit into the universe. And I don't know, there were a lot of things that I just ended up shaking my head at it. I enjoyed it. I had a horrible experience in the men's room when I tried to leave. You go to the men's room, there's certain etiquette. If you're standing there and there's a guy walks in, if there's 3 stalls, I'll take the outside one, dude. You take the outside one too. This guy clearly didn't know the etiquette, and he stood right next to me. That was a violation. And then he looked at me. You're not supposed to look at me.
I think you're taking the urinal experience maybe out on the movie a little bit. I'm not sure. So.
It was a terror. That probably made it worse for me because you're standing there doing whatever, and a guy just kind of looks at you like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you."
Did he look on over and say, "Hey, nice"?
It's funny because I kind of had like the same experience too when I went to the urinal. I went to the pee, and while I was peeing, this guy was holding my penis. I thought that was weird. While I was peeing, I was like, dude, move over, come on. But oh my god. But yeah, but I guess I was gonna say it was like like Troy said, I guess my favorite part of the movie was walking out of the theater. But no, I didn't hate the movie. I'm not gonna come out and just totally bash the movie. It wasn't, it had some good parts. For instance, like one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe is Ant-Man's boy, the Spanish dude who narrates everything, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of liked how Korg was doing his little narrations in the movie. That was cool to me. To me, Korg he's the comedian, the comedic relief in the movie. But obviously in this movie, everyone tried to be the comedic relief, not just Korg. But if they would have just left it to him, I would have liked that more because he's actually funny. The stuff that he does and he says is actually funny. So I love the little his little scenes, and who was doing the little narrations, I want to tell the story of Thor and this and that. And that was pretty cool. Gore, I mean, the character's name is Gore the God Butcher. You know what I mean? He's horrible. You know what I mean? So it's like the way they definitely took too much creative licensing with Gore the God Butcher. It could have made him a lot better. The whole thing with introducing Zeus and introducing those gods and introducing Hercules. I mean, hopefully, thank God Hercules didn't talk and didn't say anything, right? Because I would have hated. Like, Hercules is one of my favorite Marvel characters because he was drawn a little bit in comics by Bob Layton, who's one of my favorite Iron Man artists. So he did a miniseries of Hercules and stuff, which is like one of my favorite comic books when I was a kid. I liked it was with the actor that they got to play Hercules. I don't know his name, but he's in a
Goldstein.
Yeah, he's in that show that soccer show. Ted Lasso. Yeah, and his character in Ted Lasso is hilarious, fantastic. Yeah. I love the guy, but he looks like he's a small guy. And Hercules is is a monster. He's Hercules. So this guy, I mean, in Ted Lasso, he's like maybe 6 feet. 180 pounds or something. But I guess he got to really bulk up. He looked pretty bulked up for the movie, I guess. But I'm excited to see how they go with that. But I hated the fact that they kind of made Zeus, who's God, basically, right? He's like, the God of gods. They made him out to be a fool, So that was kind of disappointing and stuff. It's like I said, I mean, I hate it when they take everything and everybody's got to be funny. No, everybody doesn't have to be funny. You don't need to, you're not, comedy sells, but Marvel, the brand, the MCU sells itself. You don't need to throw everything in there to try to sell this movie. I mean, it's just that it was just so annoying to me. But I mean, overall, the movie, I mean, if you took all the comedy stuff out of it and you would have made gore, gore more like the comic book, I would have enjoyed the movie more. But I mean, it was definitely disappointing. I was definitely disappointed with all the trying to make it laugh. Kind of like going back to Vigilante. It was kind of like a Vigilante for me, Like I liked Vigilante in the beginning when they were doing, when he was doing like the one-on-ones with the Peacemaker and they were throwing jokes. But then when everything became a joke, I was like, all right, this is getting old. And that's kind of like what Thor felt like.
Well, there are certain things I did like. I mean, I love Hemsworth as Thor, but it's again, I'm just reiterating what everyone's been saying. Everything was jokey, too much jokey. And I know that Hemsworth hated the first two Thors because, he didn't like the tone of it. He wanted it to be more like the other Marvel movies and change Thor's character a little bit. So the same thing. I did like that. We have Jane Foster dying at the end. She's back and she's dead again. Although, nothing really lasts forever in Thor. And I don't know if you guys read that, Hemsworth said he was surprised at the end when it said Thor will return. So, and he had no idea who they were talking about, whether it had been him or Jane Foster's Thor, because he said nothing has been discussed. He said he's willing to play the character as much as they want him, but nothing has been discussed yet. So he was surprised to see that.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, as far as Marvel's concerned, there's always going to be a Thor, obviously. Even if Hemsworth says he's not making any more Thor movies, they'll cast somebody else.
You can see a better Ray Bill down the line, just get the CGI Thor, right? So, but yeah, I did like a lot of it. I can't say that I hated it because I didn't hate it. I enjoyed the movie. I was there enjoying the movie.
I didn't hate
it. It was a couple of hours of fun. But I did just expect so much more. It's just, Troy mentioned before, it was like a Disney Plus movie that, fun for the kids, the whole family could see. We know that the heroes are never really in danger. We know nothing really bad's going to happen. Even that Jane Foster, when she died, it didn't even seem like that much of a tragedy because it just the tone around it. He didn't even seem so sad that she was. Oh, maybe there's a reason for that too. But he didn't seem so sad when she died. And they have this evil villain throughout, and that they kind of redeem at the end. And I don't always love when you redeem the villains. I want to see the villains evil, and you're happy that they get killed. So I don't always want to see the evil villain redeemed. But again, you felt bad for him at the end. They tried to make you feel bad for Christian Bale, and he just killed people. He just killed a whole bunch of people. And why are we feeling bad for him? So they brought the daughter into it too. So I did like it. I was happy to see the thing with Zeus. I thought the little the little dumpling god was silly, was ludicrous. But
that's because of the TV show. They've got a TV show called Bow on Disney Plus.
Right, yes.
That was the same character. I guess he's a god because they eat him in the cartoon and he comes back.
Yes.
He's he's a god. I guess that's why
I saw that one. But it was silly to me to put it there. It was like that was one of their little Easter eggs, but it was silly to put it in there. I was waiting to see who else that they might show, any other little Easter eggs in that thing. I kept looking. I probably missed it. I have to go, research and see if there were any other little Easter eggs that I missed because I'm sure there were. But overall, it was like, okay. It was, it was fun. It was a thing that I could have taken my kids to. No scariness, no goriness.
Could have been better.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, and I thought we show eternity, and what a waste to me of eternity. I was, we haven't really discussed that. It's like, the first time we're seeing eternity in a Marvel feature, and like, oh, what a waste. You just really want to waste in it.
All right, two things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think about eternity. Eternity and the other gods, when Adam Warlock meets them in the comics to discuss that great big glove he's wearing and who's going to get to use it, he meets their abstracts and they tell him they're in different places at different times and they look different and stuff like that. I think that what Gore met was just one of Eternity's abstracts, and it wasn't actually him. It was like, to put it in non-comic book layman terms for other people, DC has a guy called Darkseid. Darkseid lives on a completely different plane of existence. And anytime anyone in the comic books has met Darkseid, they've just met one of his icons, one of his miniature versions of himself that he can stick into the universe. I explained it to somebody like, if there's an anthill and you wanted to get something in that anthill, you might take a stick and then stick it in a hole and try to poke around. Those ants are like, oh my God, it's a stick. There's nothing we can do to get rid of this stick. It's the most powerful thing we've ever seen. But they've got no real concept of what's on the other end of that stick. That's Darkseid. I think that's what they're kind of doing with Eternity as an abstract. They're seeing him, and just a little small part of him, I'm going to grant you a wish. I'll give you whatever you want. It doesn't matter because I'm everything. Doesn't matter if I give you $1 billion or I make you the god of your planet. It doesn't matter because I'm everything. You're still just a small, itty bitty little teeny tiny part of me. So for some reason, this particular part of him is allowing that. I'm sure it's got some larger plan. He's not just going around. He's not a genie. So he's not just going around, folding his arms and whacking people with his head and giving wishes. So there's got to be a reason for that. And also, when they used Stormbreaker to open up that doorway to Eternity, could they have just turned it just a little bit and opened up a doorway to Infinity, or turned over here and got the Watcher and opened it up and talked to him? Could they have talked to anybody? Is it like when Doctor Strange casts a spell and he summons a demon? Are they summoning them? I wonder about these things. Also, he's been around, Gore has been around for 3,000 years. He's just been behind the scenes. Thor didn't know about him. Zeus knew about him. That's why he's been hanging out in Eternity City, or whatever they call it. He's not leaving that place because he knows what's outside the walls. But Thor was unaware. But he's been around for 3,000 years looking for something that was just created a couple of years ago. What did he see the future and know it was coming? Or was he going to eventually go to Asgard and use the Rainbow Bridge? Or what? They didn't explain that because he wanted Stormbreaker. And Zeus is like, he doesn't have a key. Zeus knew he wanted Stormbreaker, but Stormbreaker just got built a couple of years ago. So what was it like? Well, that's crazy to me. I don't know. When I watch a movie, I end up scratching the side of my face like, that doesn't make any sense. Somebody didn't think this through. I wonder about stuff like that. I wonder about that all the time. Segue, just for 30 seconds. As you can see here, it's USMC, a prior military. Something that gets me in movies all the time. And I scream at the TV, scratching my face, because it just doesn't make sense. When people hip fire weapons, there is no way you're hitting anything like that. When I was in boot camp, they made us hip fire just so they could say, you're never going to hit anything like that. Never do that. I don't care what the situation is. You're never going to hit anything. They were like a bunch of birds. And I was like, I'm going to shoot a bird. And I tried, and I'm shooting the dirt, shooting over the bird. There's no way you can do that. That's like this movie. I've been reading comic books since I was 3 or 4 years old. And I look at the comic book, and there's a structure. That's the way things are supposed to be. I look at the movies, and I end up shaking my head because I'm like, that's not right. These guys didn't read the books. But I don't know. I'm starting to rant now. I feel myself ranting. I want to rant some more, but I guess that was it. I didn't know why Gore was going after Stormbreaker.
Yeah, that's the same thing. And that whole Stormbreaker thing, it was funny too, but again, on top of everything else, it was like, okay. So what do we want to see? Yeah, go ahead.
I think with the answer Troy's thing about Stormbreaker, since the bridge is no longer there, because our Asgard is dead, and that bridge is broken, and the sword is gone, whatever. So maybe that was the original key that he needed, but the only way to have that bridge now is through Stormbreaker, right? So because if you look at it, to access eternity, it's got the print on it, that Thor always leaves, or whenever they go through time, through the gate, whatever, that was in Asgard, but Asgard's no longer there. But Stormbreaker has the power to wield, for that bridge. So maybe that's why they needed Stormbreaker. That would be my guess, because Asgard's no longer there.
Wouldn't it have been easier for him to go after America Chavez? Well, she could have popped the door open. He could have been like, hey, he could have stuck a key in her, twisted it twice to the left, and walked through. Why didn't he go get her?
Well, it's the same thing. You can't always bring in the other characters, because we always say, like, why didn't this one come into, help out?
Right. Yeah, just creative licensing, I guess. I mean, like stuff like that. I get, as a comic book purist, you want it to be as close to the comic book as possible. But I understand that these are Hollywood writers and stuff, and they take creative licensing with stuff. What bothers me is when they change the actual characters themselves and make them totally. Right. Something that bothers me, I can understand, if you're taking, like with the story, and you change the story around a little bit, but if you take an actual character, this is the way the character is, and I'm like, nah, that's not how it's going to do them completely different. That bothers me.
So where do we want to see, what do we want to see next? So we always ended up on this. Where do we want to see next coming from Thor and Marvel, basically?
I think that Thor is going to defeat Hercules and then catch a world-class beating from Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill eventually has to take Stormbreaker from Thor. Thor now has Mjolnir. So he's got his little magic hammer. He's good, but he's going to have to give that one up. He's going to have to give it up. He's not going to want to just hand it over. They might just write it like that. He just hands it to him. But in the comics, he beats the brakes off of Thor, and then he takes Mjolnir, and Odin doesn't want him to have Mjolnir, so he creates Stormbreaker. That's not really the way. He wasn't supposed to do that. It was kind of cheating. But he's got to lose the hammer to Beta Ray Bill, and I'm thinking they're not going to write him having two major losses like that. So he's got to defeat Hercules, and I guess Hercules will be like, you know what? I was going to kill you, but you're a pretty good guy, man. We should team up instead of fighting like my father wants. My father wants me to kill you, but I changed my mind. We should be buddies. Let's go have maybe shawarma and eat that, whatever that stuff is. I think it's going to be
good. You got to be tasting that. That's so good.
Oh, you never had shawarma, bro?
Oh my God, it's delicious.
I thought they invented that in that movie. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, twice when you come down here. Oh, thank you for shawarma. So,
8 days away. Okay, food analogy. Quick food analogy. This movie, to me, the drink was accurate, but to be more on point, this movie to me, I consider myself, even though I haven't had shawarma, I consider myself a foodie. Got a lot of different types of food, all kinds of stuff. There's a particular food that I think they made up just for television. It's called the open face sandwich. Now, when you make a sandwich, to me, I was watching the show. This guy takes a piece of bread. He puts the bread on a table. He puts some meat on it. He puts some sauce on it. He puts cheese on it, and then he serves it. And I was like, that's not a sandwich. He didn't put the top on it. You need another piece of bread to make it a sandwich. But in his mind, he used his artistic license, and he said, I'm not going to make it the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to put my own personal twist on it so I can call it my thing, but I'm actually stealing your thing. That's what this movie was. Tico said, you know what? You got a good story. I like the story, but I'm going to make this an open-faced sandwich. I'm going to put my own personal twist on it and make it my thing instead of Marvel's thing, and people will love it because it's different. He was incorrect. I don't like open-faced sandwiches because it looks to me like a thing that hasn't been completed. One of the reasons I didn't like this movie is because there were too many twists that deviated from the story. Those screaming goats. He was supposed to. That's
another one we didn't discuss. Yep.
And they were screaming and yelling, and they gave them to him as a gift. And in the comics, they're man eaters. They eat men. They eat human beings. So you can't get near them unless you're Thor. And everybody's walking up, petting them and everything. And I was like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, okay. I guess he's just going to pet that goat. I did not walk up to an 8-foot tall screaming goat to begin with. But people were petting them and talking to them and everything. I'm like, what's going on with the goats? There was a lot of, it was an open face sandwich for me. It wasn't a real sandwich.
That would have been funny. That would have been funny as a Disney movie if the goats would have started eating the kids or something like that. Troy would have been like, yes!
HBO, they'd have ate a kid. If this was HBO, they'd have eaten a kid.
Oh, man.
So, Carlos, what do you want to see next?
I don't know, man. I don't know. The way they left it, it was kind of weird. It was like, obviously, Jane Foster's dead. She's in, she went to Valhalla, right? But, is she dead?
We have dead, because
right, exactly, right. So, I mean, they introduced Hercules, so obviously, we're going to expect Hercules to go after Thor. But when, there's no Thor movies announced for the next, who knows how many years, So, but I would see the one thing that I'm guessing is that they're introducing a lot of these characters because we're going to be leading into Secret Wars, and that's when, all these characters are going to be, involved in Secret Wars. So maybe, Hercules will probably maybe he'll be in Secret Wars, Star Fox and Eternals, because there's no Eternals 2 anywhere down the road, as far as I know. So, so I don't know, man. I mean, what's the next movie after this? Is it the Ant-Man movie?
Black Panther comes at the end of the year.
Black Panther.
Next one? There's nothing before then?
What about when's the Ant-Man movie come out?
I don't know. Seems like Ant-Man should be on the horizon.
It should be good, right? Because we got Kang and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're going down a road of multiverse and all that stuff, and Thor. I mean, he fits into it, obviously. Guardians of the Galaxy fit into it, obviously. So I want to know if Hercules is going to be in the next Thor movie, or if they're going to introduce him, when they do Secret Wars type thing. Who knows how to do it.
If I were to take a guess, I would say
we got a Groot series on Disney Plus coming. So,
yeah.
And she.
I would say he's going to show up in the next Avengers movie because Odin told him that he wanted the humans are worshiping superheroes now, and he wanted to punish them. So he wanted there to be a war against them and the gods. So by them, I'm assuming he meant the superheroes. So superheroes versus the gods, it's got to be like an Avengers movie. So I'm assuming Herc's going to show up in the next Avengers movie, probably leading the gods, like he led them against that the Asian god of destruction. I can't remember his name.
Right. From now or something, because there's no Avengers movies anywhere. First you got before Avengers movie, we got Fantastic Four. We'll probably have X-Men.
We got Black Panther coming November and Ant-Man coming in February of next year.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we got to see. I don't know how these movies really tie into those, unless you're going with the whole, getting ready for Secret Wars type deal. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, same. So that's what I want to see too. I want to see Star Fox. I want to see Hercules and Thor battle. I mean, they're setting it all up, so you do want to see it. Funny, I'm more excited about Harry Styles as Star Fox than I am about Brett Goldstein as Hercules. I just looked it up while we were talking. I mean, Brett Goldstein's 5'10". He's not even 6 feet. So it's
right. No, yeah, he's not a big guy. He played a soccer player on
right. Well, Hemsworth is 6'3". So I mean that's
well, that's what I'm saying. Hemsworth is 6'3". Freaking. When he bulks up, he's like 230 pounds or something. So unless CGI.
Well,
we're going to CGI that shit. So,
right, exactly.
But that could be the joke. He's so small, but he's so strong.
Well, they're gonna change that. So what do we give this movie? On a scale 1 to 10, what do we give this?
I would say a 6. I would say a 6.5 maybe.
If they'd have put the top on that sandwich, it could have been a 7. But I'm gonna go with a good solid 6.
Yeah, I liked it more than you guys. I mean, definitely, I'm going to be between the 6.5, maybe close to the 7. I can't, I'm making it that like I hated it. I didn't hate it. I liked it, but it wasn't one of the.
I didn't hate the movie.
But all right, let us know in the comments what you guys think. You like it, didn't like it, agree, disagree, what you want to see next from Thor. And as always, this has been Comics and Pop.
Well, let me ask you guys this before we stop. Let me ask you guys this: what did you like better, this or Eternals?
I like this more than Eternals. So,
what about you, Troy?
Wow, that's close. Probably this because I like the Easter egg better.
I think I like Eternals more.
Okay.
I think I like Eternals more. Not by a lot, but to me, Eternals was like a 7. Maybe. So, and this is a 6. So I'm thinking the Eternals movie I enjoyed a little bit more than this. I was just like I said, it's just like some of the comedy was just cringeworthy to me, And the Eternals, maybe because it was new characters and stuff, but it wasn't. There wasn't any like cringeworthy moments when I was watching Eternals where they were when I was watching Thor.
Well, that's
now you can close it, Jonathan.
Now I'll close it. Can't say I like the Eternals well, but yeah. All right. So take 2. This has been Comics and Pop. And thank you for watching. And as always, please subscribe.
Subscribe.